Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to take you through what we believe to be the most exciting games coming to the Nintendo Switch in the month of November. Good God, it's already November. As always, this is not an exhaustive list. It's not every game or anything like that. It's merely our selection. Our personal selection. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Starting things off on the very 1st of November, we have Farmagia, or Farmagia, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I wasn't initially very excited by the reveal of this back in the Direct when it happened, but over time and looking a little bit more into it, I've actually come to appreciate it for what it is, which is actually something reasonably interesting and different. I think the name kind of does it a bit of a disservice because you just immediately think it's another farming game, and then you see one moment when they're farming and you think, oh, but it's more than that. It really is. It really is more, I suppose. I mean, there are farming elements in there 100%, but it is definitely more of a kind of a Pikmin come Pokemon vibe that I'm getting from it, which I am definitely not opposed to. You do plant crops and they grow and then you harvest them, but then they become monsters, creatures, animals type things, and then you take them out, you can train them, and then you take them into battle and everything like that. It's an idea that I sort of feel like must have been done before, but I can't think of any examples. It's quite an interesting take on the whole farm sim genre and makes it a little bit more action-based, and yeah, I'm all here for it. I am a tiny bit concerned about performance on Switch, but hey, we'll just have to wait and see. Or wait for the potential Switch 2 version. Next up on the 5th of November, we have Metal Slug Tactics, which is a title I didn't think I'd ever read aloud before they announced it. This game seemed to just sort of disappear off the map after its initial reveal, but it is now finally coming, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, which, I've got to be honest, you should just expect from the Metal Slug series, but even so, it should be lauded. Tactics games weren't popular for a long time, but over the past sort of 5 years or so, they've finally come back into the spotlight, and I couldn't be happier. I even recently started playing Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Oh, and I found it really hard because I was sleep deprived on a plane. Metal Slug Tactics looks great though, loads of interesting different mechanics, and it really kind of exudes that kind of Final Fantasy Tactics aesthetic, but with obviously a heavy Metal Slug skin on top of it as well. And it's just very, very good looking. Next, on the 7th of November, we have Angel at Dusk, which is a game that I had absolutely never heard of before one of my colleagues said I absolutely had to include it. This game is a shmup, if that wasn't immediately obvious, and it's one where the core mechanic, or at least the core hook, is the fact that it's all about bones. It's all about bones. There's one line in a trailer that I just absolutely love, and that's the hypothesis that a shmup consisting of only a skeleton could be created. It's just a mad sentence. It makes no sense. Well, I mean, it makes sense, but you know what I mean. The aesthetic is definitely kind of like a late 2D vibe, you know, kind of like Dreamcast, PlayStation, maybe even Sega Saturn elements and stuff like that. But smoothed out, it's a choice for certain, but I kind of like it in a weird way. I sort of feel like I shouldn't, but yet I do. I think what the game is going for, and reinforced by that line I read earlier, is the fact that this is kind of like the core, like you strip away all the nonsense and you're just left with a good shmup, and that's kind of the ethos here, which is exciting, but at the same time, you know, that's a difficult thing to claim. The proof will be in the pudding, I'm sure. Also on the 7th of November, no introduction needed, but it's getting one anyway, Mario and Luigi Brothership. I am, of course, lucky enough to have already played this game, and it is a really, really good time. I'm not going to go into massive detail here because we've got a full preview, which I really recommend you go and watch. In fact, we've got two. That's a thing. But very briefly, it's oozing charm. The animations are absolutely superb. It's fun to see more original characters within the Mario universe again. Yeah, it's a proper new Mario and Luigi game through and through. Next up on the 12th of November, we have Tetris Forever, which is a collection of Tetris games, but loads of them, including everyone's favorite, Hatris. It's a digital Eclipse release as well, so you can expect things like little documentary featurettes and stuff like that. But most interestingly for me is a new experience called Tetris Time Warp, which allows you to play in modern Tetris, and then you go back in time when you get like a special piece and you clear that line, you get sent back in time, you got a little challenge to do before you can go back to the present, I suppose. It's not groundbreaking by any any means, but anything new in the Tetris sphere, that wasn't intentional, is very exciting to me, because I feel like even though the core of Tetris is just as good as it's ever been, it's always fun to play with something new, or indeed in this case, play with something old whilst you're playing with something new. Also, it has multiplayer. Moving on the 14th of November, we have Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Now, I've made my opinions of HD 2D as an art style very clear in the past. I don't like it, but loads of people do, so I'm happy to put that to one side for the sake of being thorough. And apparently, Dragon Quest III is a flipping good game. Again, I've never played it. Having said that, I have heard from good sources who have played it at events and things like that it is a very, very accurate remake of the original, kind of a warts and all approach. So that may be something that really appeals to you, or it might absolutely infuriate you because it's, you know, massively old game design. I don't know, that's something you're going to have to work out for yourself. But any which way, classic games like this should be as available as possible, and this is one of the ways to do it. It's the one with the most profit and the one that takes the longest amount of time, but, you know, maybe people will appreciate it more. We'll just have to wait and see. Also on the 14th of November, we have LEGO Horizon Adventures, which is something I never thought I would be saying is coming to Switch. I mean, LEGO has done loads of different styles of games, loads of different IP-driven games, and, you know, we've got DC and Marvel and Batman and all that sort of thing, even Lord of the Rings. But not only did I not think that Horizon was like a huge franchise, it's big for sure, but not colossal, it's not like Mario or something like that. Not only that, I never expected that it would ever come to Switch, because Horizon, I mean, if not virtually a Sony IP, then very literally a Sony IP. I'm just amazed it's coming to Switch. I'm very curious to see how it runs on the console, and just curious to see how LEGO takes the idea of Horizon, which I have played, and I've got to be honest, I didn't hate it or anything like that, but it also really didn't excite me. But what direction they go with making it into LEGO? I suppose the great big robotic enemies, you know, that kind of leans into the whole idea of LEGO quite well, so I suppose it makes a lot of sense in that way. But in every other way, what on earth is happening? Also on the 14th of November, we have miniatures. Now, this is a very small game. I hasten to point out it's more of an interactive experience. I haven't played it myself, but I am very excited by the prospect. The trailer for this game, with its audio, just exudes uncomfortableness. Let me just shut up for a moment so you can hear. You see what I mean? It's unsettling. The whole thing feels very unsettling. And that's a vibe that I absolutely love. I love being unsettled. You know, not kind of horror or that sort of thing. I mean, that's fine and everything. But the idea of just feeling uncomfortable, you know, like you're watching Peep Show or I'm Alan Partridge. I'm really curious about this game and I really wanted to include it on this list, so do keep an eye out for it. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe not, I don't know, I haven't played it, but fingers crossed, eh? Then on the 19th of November, we have Stray, a game that I have seen from start to finish, but not actually played. It's called Watching Someone Else Play the Game in the Same Room. It's a lovely little game, and I think maybe it wouldn't have quite as much attention if you weren't literally playing as a cat, but hey, they did that, it got attention, fair play to them. But the thing that I'm most curious about is how this is going to run on Switch. The initial, announcement of it wasn't hugely encouraging. It's going to be really, really interesting to kind of tear it apart and break it down and to see what they've had to sacrifice to get it running on Nintendo's hybrid. And frankly, if you don't have another console and you've got no other way of playing it, this could easily be a great one for you if you like the look of Stray. At the end of the day, most people don't actually care that much about performance. It's just us nerds, you know? Having said that, there is a limit, and who knows, maybe it'll stray over that line. And finally, on the 26th of November, we have 9 Souls. I'm sure I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. This game is absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. The hand-drawn art style really, really brings things to life, and the lovely, almost sort of desaturated tone over most of the game just makes it seem like an actual painting in so many ways. I love me a 2D side-scroller, especially those with really good combat. Maybe even inspired by something like Sekiro, which this game clearly is, and those aren't my words. That's the words of the publisher. It just looks great. It looks like it's going to be great fun. It also visually, as I've said, is absolutely stunning. And it's reviewed extremely well over on Steam, overwhelmingly positive in the all-time reviews and very positive recently. Some people may be tired of Metroidvanias, but it's not me. It's not me, baby. I'm all down for this. And there you have it. Those are, in our opinion, the most exciting games coming to the Switch in the month of November. Did we miss something massive? Did we miss something important? Did we miss something minor? Let us know in the comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you scream no at other YouTube channels? And yes, at our subscribe button, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.